The spotlight fades. It's official. The Netflix fairy tale is fading for Meghan Markle. What was once promoted as a groundbreaking alliance has unraveled into disappointing headlines and soft numbers. Insiders at Netflix aren't hiding their frustration. Expectations were enormous. The platform was prepared to roll out the red carpet, and Meghan, fresh from her royal exit, was framed as Hollywood's next creative powerhouse. But somewhere between bold promises and final delivery, momentum stalled. The excitement evaporated, the sparkle dulled, the buzz that once surrounded the deal has quieted, and the numbers tell a story no one can ignore. Numbers start speaking. The numbers tell their own story. When Meghan Markle's partnership with Netflix was first revealed, it sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry. On paper, it looked unstoppable. Meghan teaming up with a streaming giant in what many believed would be pure gold. The concept sounded compelling, content blending her activism, her personal journey, and her new chapter in America. It had all the ingredients of a cultural moment. But once the initial projects rolled out, the reaction felt quieter than expected. Viewers weren't exactly flooding in with enthusiasm. The metrics slipped faster than anticipated, and behind closed doors, unease reportedly began to grow. Executives who once championed the deal started watching the performance more closely. According to those familiar with the situation, disappointment wasn't just about viewership. It extended to concerns about commitment and follow-through. There was an assumption, some say, that her global recognition and dramatic royal departure would be enough to carry the weight. Yet Hollywood doesn't operate on recognition alone, not anymore. To be fair, Meghan entered with undeniable star power. The worldwide fascination with her story created the kind of narrative the industry dreams about. But in this business, buzz opens the door, results keep it open, and right now, the results aren't matching the expectations. She is reportedly aiming to establish herself as a major film presence, but that ambition is facing obstacles. It's not only about streaming numbers anymore, it's the quiet whispers, the delayed meetings, the stalled conversations, signals that momentum may not be on her side. The quiet shift in Hollywood. There's a growing feeling in Hollywood that Meghan Markle wants to leap straight to the summit without taking the long road up. In an industry built on resilience, craft, and persistence, that perception doesn't sit well. The enthusiasm that once surrounded her name appears to be cooling. Producers aren't reaching out the way they once did. Casting directors aren't advocating as strongly. And the silence from major studios feels noticeable. Noticeable enough that some are beginning to wonder whether the Meghan Markle brand has already reached its peak. That's a tough reality for someone who arrived with enormous promise, relentless media attention, and global curiosity. Behind the scenes, there's said to be tension. Netflix reportedly expected bold ideas, fresh storytelling, projects that would cut through the noise. What materialized, however, was viewed as far less impactful. It isn't framed as personal, it's business, and business revolves around results. Meghan was introduced as a potential creative powerhouse, a storyteller capable of influencing culture. Instead, the narrative surrounding her has shifted into something more cautionary, a reminder that hype alone cannot sustain momentum. To be fair, she possesses undeniable charisma. She's polished, media savvy, and carries a life story unlike anyone else's. But Hollywood isn't sentimental, it's a machine, and it keeps moving. Public perception is evolving as well. Increasingly, she's seen not just as a former royal, but as a celebrity attempting reinvention without fully proving herself in the trenches. The red carpets, glossy features, and carefully staged appearances are part of the spectacle. Yet when it comes to delivering work that resonates and endures, critics argue the impact hasn't matched the anticipation. Executives appear more cautious now. The once wide door hasn't slammed shut, but it no longer swings open automatically. Lessons have been learned, strategies adjusted, and focus redirected toward creators with consistent delivery records. The streaming landscape is fiercely competitive, and there's little tolerance for projects that fail to connect. So the question lingers, where does she go from here? She still holds influence and visibility, but if she intends to remain in Hollywood as more than a headline, the margin for error has narrowed. In this business, relevance depends on output. You're measured by your latest success, and when that falters, so does momentum. This may not signal the end of her path, but it clearly marks a detour. Star power fades quickly without reinforcement. For all her charm and potential, she appears to be confronting that reality in real time, and the message emerging from the Netflix chapter feels unmistakable: deliver or be delivered past. Behind the camera, insiders claim the situation runs deeper than ratings or reviews. According to individuals familiar with production circles, concerns focus on Meghan Markle's behavior behind the scenes, and those concerns are quietly echoing across Hollywood. Several sources, speaking privately, describe what they see as a troubling pattern. The language isn't flattering. Terms like difficult, unapproachable, and entitled reportedly surface again and again. There are whispers that she projects an air of superiority, as though the industry should adjust to her status rather than expect her to adapt. Producers who were once eager to collaborate are said to be pulling back. Some accounts suggest she exerts heavy control in creative meetings, yet becomes less engaged when execution begins. Others reference delays, last-minute changes, and limited collaboration. One insider framed it bluntly, seeking creative authority without equal responsibility. Additionally, there are claims of frequent staff turnover, with assistants, PR representatives, and even on-set personnel allegedly departing after professional conflicts or ongoing tension. Hollywood domino effect. According to those familiar with the environment, concerns extend beyond creative differences. Some describe a pattern of micromanaging, late-night demands, and dismissiveness when challenged. And they insist it isn't limited to Netflix. In Hollywood, word travels fast. Reputations form quietly, then spread loudly. The image of someone difficult to collaborate with, once established, gains traction quickly. There are murmurs that certain agents and producers have begun cautioning clients about attaching themselves to projects linked to her name. It becomes a domino effect. Once a reputation is tied to complications, fame offers little protection. The industry may be glamorous, but it's tight-knit and unsentimental. When someone is labeled challenging, opportunities don't explode, they evaporate. Her recognition may have opened doors, but insiders suggest what happens behind those doors matters more. Expectations were for composure and professionalism. Instead, critics claim the energy felt demanding without the to justify it. This isn't a palace governed by protocol, it's Hollywood, where perception can undo a career faster than weak ratings ever could. Even public sentiment appears to be shifting. Online conversations increasingly question accountability and growth. Supporters who once defended her passionately are asking harder questions. The conversation is evolving from public relations to credibility. She entered this chapter with extraordinary advantages: global visibility, a royal narrative, and a significant platform through Netflix. What seemed like a guaranteed launchpad now feels more complicated. In this business, name recognition alone doesn't sustain momentum if the surrounding perception turns negative. Behind the polished photos and curated appearances, some believe there's urgency building. Insiders claim she has been pursuing meetings, leveraging connections, seeking projects that could restore her standing. But Hollywood rarely responds well to visible desperation. It rewards consistency, not pressure. And as the industry moves forward at relentless speed, the fear isn't simply rejection, it's irrelevance. Doors closing in Hollywood. But the reality is that opportunities aren't coming as easily as they once did. Studio executives are reportedly pulling back, scripts are being delayed, and agents often respond with polite "we'll get back to you" messages, when the answer is effectively no. Meghan Markle is aggressively pitching herself, not just for documentaries or feel-good projects, but for major film and television roles. She wants to be recognized as a serious actress, capable of leading a movie, helming a franchise, or even winning awards. The problem, insiders say, is that Hollywood isn't yet convinced. She stepped away from the industry years ago and hasn't consistently proven herself in the game since. Royal fame doesn't automatically translate to acting skill or box office draw. Reports indicate she has approached prominent directors and producers, offering collaborations and lending her name to projects. But sources claim she is met with polite declines, or, in some cases, complete silence. Her name, once a magnet, now signals risk, baggage, and potential PR headaches, something few in Hollywood are willing to take on. When desperation starts showing, She draws attention, yes, but not the kind that fills theaters or keeps a production running seamlessly. That struggle is starting to seep into her public image. Every appearance, every interview, every meticulously staged photo is under scrutiny. The smiles no longer convince. People are noticing someone attempting to shape a narrative of being a creative powerhouse, a Hollywood insider, a woman fully in control. But once the cameras are off, the results are sparse. No box office hits, no critical acclaim, just chatter, headlines, and noise. Even efforts to connect with influential Hollywood figures are reportedly backfiring. Some A-list actors and directors are keeping their distance, wary of the drama and attention that comes with projects tied to her name. They don't want the heat, and they certainly don't want the focus shifting from the work to her persona. What's emerging is a familiar Hollywood story. Someone chasing the dream a little too aggressively, a little too late. In this industry, ambition is celebrated, but neediness is not. Sources suggest her energy reads as needy, as if she's clawing her way into an arena that has already formed its opinions. Royal fame may have opened doors, but for some, it placed her in a box. Tabloid royalty, headline generator, symbol of controversy. In a world driven by profit, stability, and control, chaos, no matter how famous, is rarely embraced. Hollywood doesn't owe her. Meghan Markle is learning the hard way that fame doesn't equal influence. You can appear on every magazine cover, dominate every trending topic, and still hold little sway in the rooms that truly matter. Real power in Hollywood comes from what you deliver, not what you talk about. Right now, insiders say she's speaking too much and producing too little. She's trying to prove she belongs in a space that has largely moved on, chasing the spotlight as if it's owed to her. But Hollywood doesn't owe anyone, not even a duchess. If she doesn't recalibrate quickly, she won't just fall behind. She risks being forgotten entirely. And for Meghan Markle, vanishing from the spotlight isn't simply a setback, it's a nightmare. If you found this inside look at Hollywood intriguing, hit subscribe, drop a comment with your thoughts, and like to stay updated on the latest celebrity stories.